Hey everybody, Strange103 here today with finally a replay cast. Looking at the upcoming Tier 8 Premium German aircraft carrier, the Graf Zeppelin. Now, before we actually get on with the replay and I actually manage to select the planes and get back into the carrier view, I would like to say that this is a ship currently under testing. As you can see, work in progress, tag and all. Stats may be subject to change. Her characteristics and performance that you see now may not be what happens or what you get upon release. So just please keep that into mind when you look at her, especially considering the fact, well, what we have. So let's start this game off by, well, what does the Graf Zeppelin have? What does it provide? Well, you get a 230 loadout, so no dive bombers, no HE bombs, no AP bombs, no Fitz X bombs, or whatever. They'd probably stick at tier 10. It actually would be kind of interesting if they decided to do something like that, though I wonder how they would balance it, especially considering how Enterprise's AP bombs have turned out to become. Anyways, you have 5 plane per squadron. This is obviously with air supremacy. The carrier skill at tier 4, which obviously you should always take on an aircraft carrier. 15 fighter replacements, which means you have a total of 25 planes, as I spot this enemy Akatsuki in the middle of the map. You have a total of 25 fighters, which is one more than that of a balanced Lexington or Shokaku, so you're not actually that bad off with fighters. Anyways, seeing if I can't line up an attack on this Akatsuki, I don't want to spend too much time loitering around it in case you haven't noticed with the matchmaking. Yes, it is in fact a tier 7 game, the only other tier 8 being Hakuryuu, and for us a Kaga. So for all intents and purposes, it's a tier 7 game. Not going to count the Lexington, who, by the way, I checked the stats of, should be playing a strike setup. And there we go. As you can see, I'll split my fighters off to catch him. The fighters do 175 knots, which is the fastest of any tier 8 aircraft carrier fighters. And your torpedo bombers, sorry, they go at 135 knots, basically putting them at the slower end of the tier 8 strike planes speed. The Sharnost is a pretty heavy AA spec. He's already down quite a few of my planes. Gonna strafe away at this Lexington strike package, who I think is actually trying to go and try to strike me. And if you're paying attention to that damage, I do manage to pick up 5 torpedoes on him for basically the 40-ish thousand damage. Fail strafe over there. I'm not sure what this enemy carrier is trying to do. Is he going for the Gneiss now? I'm thinking he's going for the Gneiss now, so I'm basically just auto tagging. But when I see the planes doing something like that, it's definitely not going to be. Unfortunately, the plane doesn't actually want to commit. This is one of the earlier games I played of the Graf Zeppelin, probably maybe the 3rd or something like that. I don't keep track anymore. So I wasn't exactly sure what this enemy carrier was up to, and I wasn't exactly sure what kind of commits I can expect from my fighters. Anyways, my planes have returned back to ship, and I've done some decent damage to one of the enemy Scharnhorsts. Just gonna finish by auto-tagging the last of this Lexington's planes. Unfortunately, one of my squads runs out of ammo, and the one that's got ammo loses 1 to rear gunners. But the Lexington seems to have basically gone AFK, so, well, hey, free damage. Now, anyways, so what I didn't tell you yet is that each of these torpedo bombers' torpedoes, you can't really show them in game like this, but they do like, I think, 10,300 damage per torpedo, 10,500, something absolutely ridiculous. Oh, did I also mention you have 5 of them per squad, and 3 squads to 15? So, how much does Kaga, Taihou, and Hakuryuu do? Well, you have 12 torpedo bombers of 8,567 damage, each giving you, I think, around about 100k damage. Well, this thing's got 150. Comrade. Anyways, just wanna, I guess you can say, this is not a special game. The plane shot down is really just me farming a strike Lexington that doesn't really seem to be paying attention or have much of a clue. Although actually later on it does pay some attention, you'll get to see what I mean. Anyways, I'm just stacking my 3 torpedo bombers, which are now airborne up, and I'm gonna see if I can't go flop this Nagato. Now, with the rather slower speed of the Graf Zeppelin's torpedo bombers in mind, and the fact you only have 14.1, well, you only have 14.1 kilometers surface detection with the upgrade, so that's not very good. I mean, it's not like Shokaku, which gets it down to like 10.8 with just the upgrade, with concealment expertise. I think it gets even better. So it's not a stealthy aircraft carrier, and it's not a very defensible aircraft carrier either. You have typical aircraft carrier maneuverability with terrible rudder shift and terrible turning radius of like 1.1 kilometers. Well, at least more than that. And your anti-aircraft is pretty mad, actually. You have 4.5 kilometers, 100 DPS, exact same as that of the Bayern Tier 6 German battleship, which, mind you, I'd say has too much anti-air. And you have like 110 Bofors equivalent, 3.5 km, which of course is the DPS that gets affected by the defensive anti-aircraft, which is standard Japanese carrier defensive, so 2 minutes duration and a 75% bonus to damage per second for only heavy autocannon, so your 2 cm flags do not get affected by that. Anyways, that was a full HP Nagato. That wasn't so full HP anymore after I was done with it. This Shiratsuyu is, I guess you can say, going a bit ham. This Nagato should be able to stay safe from that. And I spot the enemy's strike planes coming in again. I was honestly expecting him to go down the 10 line, so my fighter isn't exactly there on time. Plus, one of my fighters is so badly damaged it might as well not be there. But I'm sending the full HP one that I held somewhere near the 10 line border. I'm going to send it up to see if I can't provide assistance to this Sankirk. The dive bomber is actually committing, and as you can see there, it's dive bombing, something I didn't actually expect. I kind of expected him to fly past, but the enemy carrier does do a hilarious looking auto drop. I'm keeping track of which plane has dropped and which hasn't. The importance of this is to know which planes I need to tag. As you can see, I know I need to tag this last one because it's the last remaining strike plane from him that is actually currently, still loaded, as I completely failed strafe that. So with a bunch of strafes, all I managed to do is pick up 3 plane kills, which is pretty horrendous, but I have no clue what the enemy carrier is doing, and it seems he's completely forgotten to return one of his planes back to base. He's just loitering around spotting the destroyers. I mean, that's at least one thing why having a strike carrier on your team. The carrier can accidentally kill something, and he can accidentally spot something, unlike a fighter setup, which usually just screws your team over if you have a fighter setup that is commanded by someone who is completely clueless. Anyway, seeing as basically that was my second attack and 110k damage, and the game's basically over. It's like not 7 minutes into the game, not even that. Well, at least, you know, in terms of actual battle time, and we've got complete control of the map, we've got complete control of ships. Organized another 1-2 line does actually go down, but it's not a major problem. And now you can see one of the problems of the slow torpedo bombers. My ship is slow. Oh, the planes are slow. My ship ain't. Goes like 30 odd, so that's not too bad at all. But the planes are slow and are far away from battle, so it's going to take a long time for me to fly. Although in this case it would not have mattered. I would not have been able to get one more attack beyond this one that's coming up. Anyways, in terms of capabilities, you do have 3 torpedo bomber squadrons with a bit of a dodgy drop. It's actually a diamond drop, so you basically have one at the front, one at the back. The back one dies first, which is, for me, I see it as good for balancing, because it means that if you do suffer losses, it's not that the front one, which is typically going to be considered the most useless one, dies first, which, you know, is good. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to stack my torpedo bombers up and send them off in the distance, considering that the enemy stuff seems to be reasonably stacked together, and I don't really want to risk defensive AA through Graf Zeppelin or anything. See this Fiji's heading off towards Charlie. I'm just pretty much just going to ignore him. I kind of want to go for that Nagato that's on basically still full health, or flop the Scharnhorst next to him. I have not yet decided. I'm going to see what I find available, since to me it doesn't really matter. I don't want to go for the Graf Zeppelin. I don't really want to go for the Scharnhorst, but when I see that the AA Scharnhorst is next to the Nagato, I lose a little bit of interest in that. So I'm kind of see what I want to do, especially since there's a Graf Zeppelin float plane fighter nearby. Speaking of fighters, your fighters, as like I said, 175 knots, which is the fastest of the Tier 8 aircraft carrier fighters. Shokaku's are 171 or 173, and I think the Enterprise with speed upgrade gets around like 173 as well. I think the Enterprise is, with a speed upgrade, is the second fastest, otherwise the slowest at Tier 8. Anyways, we see that the enemy carrier is coming along with more strike planes. I'm just going to auto-click that. One of my fighters do get caught up by the float plane fighter, but it's no major problem. Now, I do realize that the Lexington did trigger defenses, just to show you there, so I'm going to, you know, I figured he might, and this was the part where I said he did actually pay attention. I wasn't expecting something like that to actually do that, so especially considering he just left his planes AFK in the 1-2 line, and there's literally nothing for him to pay attention to. But anyways, if he wants to trigger his defensive anti-aircraft, that's perfectly fine for me. I'm just going to strafe all the stuff away, because he's not doing anything whatsoever to try to evade my strafing. So I'll farm some plane kills, and I'm also going to farm some more damage of this Nagato, who seems to think that slowing down and stopping in front of a bunch of torpedo bombers is a great idea. Sorry sir, but you seem to have the wrong idea of the way things work here. And, well, maybe you saw a little bit of the drop pattern there, but I don't think it's the world's most important thing. Just imagine it as a diamond-looking drop. And, well, Tier 7 aircraft, Tier 7 battleship Nagato is no more. Thank you, strangers. English, plus it's hard. And it isn't pretty much just flying my planes past all the anti-aircraft. I absolutely do not care, because this game is basically over unless this Graf or someone kills a whopping or someone on the team dies and everything else on their team is pretty much low HP. This game's not gonna let me farm any more damage. So anyways, what is the Graf Zeppelin all about? Well, it's all about that alpha, but now that Charlie's being capped, I know there's a Fiji there on reasonable health. I didn't really care. In case someone died, maybe I could have actually gone secondary the guy, considering how close I got. Secondaries on this thing aren't actually all that bad. Anyone that knows the historical design of Graf Zeppelin might know what happened with the 15cm secondaries. Originally they were supposed to be, well, two guns, single casemates of 15cm mounted close to each other for ammunition supply purposes, but somewhere down the line that got mixed up and it actually became two series of twin 15cm mounts next to each other for ammunition purposes. And I mean, as a commerce raider, that in a way kind of makes sense in the end, to have weapons that are able to defend yourself with. Anyways, just quickly looking at the post-battle results screens. One Nagato, well, I only have a detailed report, doesn't really matter. 65k off one Nagato, fully one-shotted. The second one, 50k. He would have been fully one-shotted as well, considering how many torpedoes actually hit him. The Shirley, I do manage to pick up, well, around just short of 40k damage off, and I do flop the Akatsuki for one torp for 7.5k. If that had been a US or Japanese carrier torp, that wouldn't have done much more than 5.5. Do shoot down two of the Graf Bears, the floating fighters, and 52 of the Lexington, but that's basically 3 targets I attacked, well, 3 strikes I did for 160k damage. Of course, if I wanted more damage, I could have just flopped the Scharnhorst and probably one-shotted that as well, which would have put me at around about 180k-ish damage. Ish, maybe. So that pretty much shows you, well, my first impression of the Graf Zeppelin. Hopefully I can get some actually good gameplay later on. I mean, this is just me one-shotting tier 7 helpless battleships that can't do anything against it whatsoever. So hopefully down the line somehow I can actually get some good gameplay where I actually maybe meet someone in the carrier that isn't, you know, just feeding planes or AFKing planes for all that sake like the enemy Lexington was. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully I can actually get some proper reviews of Graf Zeppelin past wargaming. And hopefully I don't swear too much, otherwise that's going to be a major problem for me. But hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.